And there are things that your soul needs. But when you're too busy in hyper independence, when you are too busy in people pleasing, when you are too busy in shame and guilt, when you are too busy in comparison, and when you're too busy in self hate, you can't see it. And even if you do, you're not going to give yourself the opportunity to do it, because hyper independence is going to tell you that you're too busy, right? People pleasing is going to tell you that somebody else is more important. Guilt and shame is going to tell you that you're wrong for giving yourself that time and that energy. Comparison is going to tell you, well, that little thing that you're going to do is not even that serious, not enough, because you really need to be in Paris somewhere. And self-hate is going to have you feeling like you don't deserve it, or you're not important, or you need to go do something else before you get it. That's the reality of it, guys. This is what you need to be broken free from, because your soul needs to be replenished. Hey, ladies, welcome to the Boss Space Sanctuary. I am your host, Coach Michelle Maiden. And today we are going to be focusing on the top 5 reasons why you are struggling when it comes to your self-care. Okay, so we're not going to spend too long, guys. I want to get into this because, you're probably someone that you deal with self-neglect a lot. Okay. You get started, you say you're going to start the self-care routine. Next thing you know, you are neglecting yourself. Like, self-care is always some situation, some emergency situation where it's like, break the glass. Oh my gosh, I have to do this. So how can you get to the point where self-care is a part of your regimen? It's a part of who you are. You taking care of yourself is a part of your identity, right? Well, in order to get there, we have to deal with the things that you're struggling with that are standing in the way. Now, in the Beauty for Ashes program, guys, and by the way, March 7th, the promo 48% off here is going to end. Okay. So if you have not gotten started, go ahead and click that link in the bio and get started and join us here. And in the Beauty for Ashes program, I really dive deeper into, I have at least 20 different ways in which survival strength shows up in your life, but I really want to deal with 5 different ways that are affecting you. Okay. And you might be dealing with one of these, 2 of these, or all 5 of them. Okay. But let's get into it. So number 1 is hyper independence. Hyper independence is basically you struggle to ask for help. Like, it has to be you. Okay. Like, you're that person. You ever see those memes when that person goes out to the car? If there were 20 bags in the car, they try to figure out a way to get all 20 bags inside the house at the same time. And if someone comes to them and say, hey, you need any help? They're like, no, thank you. I got it all. Even though they're like tipping over and stuff. That is you. You just cannot ask for help. There's something about getting help that feels weird to you. It feels icky, right? You are hyper independent. It has to be you. I was so hyper independent, y'all. I would change my car tire on the side of the road. I remember one time a police officer stopped at the side of the road and he said, do you need any help? I said, no, I got it. My dad taught me how to do this. Y'all, my poor dad. He didn't even teach me how to change a tire. I was just so hyper independent that I learned myself. But I figured I'd give the credit to a man, right? Versus say, no, I'm just a strong woman. I know how to do it on my own. I'm like, no, my dad got me. Guys, listen. So that's one of the ways in which you struggle, right? Hyper independence. And the way that this really affects you or sabotages you in your self-care journey is it causes you to not be able to rest. Because if you're hyper independent, that means you're relying on you. You must be the one that's doing. So if you need to take a rest, you're never going to give yourself real permission to rest because everything is on your shoulders and you're in the mindset of being on this hamster wheel that if you stop, everything is going to fall apart. So that's that piece right there. Another struggle that you may have that's getting in the way of you really being able to focus and take care of yourself is people pleasing. Oh my goodness, y'all, can we talk about it? Can we talk about people pleasing? People pleasing will have you sitting there in the middle of starting your self-care. You get a phone call. You will fly out of your situation in order to be able to meet the needs of other people. And if you have a family or you have friends around you that are dealing with a lot, especially in this time and season, this is the worst time to be a people pleaser because especially since COVID, we are in a time in a season where people are dealing with a lot of seasonal depression. People are dealing with a lot of financial issues. They're dealing with a lot of self-worth issues. They're dealing with a lot of mindset issues, etc. So in situations like that, especially when you might have a group of people around you or persons or a person around you that they do not lean on God, nor do they, go through the steps of getting professional help. Instead, you are their therapist and you are their God, right? They lean on your strength. And I've had previous videos where I talked about it. And then on top of that, you're a people pleaser. There's this sense of obligation that you have to be there. That means even if you're in a scenario where you need to take care of yourself, your situations are optional, but your agreement or your loyalty to other people is an obligation. Woo, that's a real sickness right there, guys. That's a real sickness. And essentially, what this is going to do and the way this is going to sabotage you is it's going to cause your schedule to always be filled with other people's problems. Like, if I need to get on the computer and start focusing on my work, no, I'm too busy on my phone listening to somebody give me a 4-hour conversation about the same thing that they told me yesterday, because I feel obligated to listen to them until they actually get to the point where they heal and they feel whole about whatever situation it is that they're going through. So that's another way, people pleasing, in which that this can get in the way. Another one is guilt and shame. Now, this goes back to people pleasing, but it's still standalone, because a lot of you guys, I've learned, especially a lot of women, you run on guilt. A lot of your decision comes on guilt. Like, people can move you around from this direction to that direction just by simply guilting you into it. They can simply say, oh, really? Well, oh my gosh, if you were a good mom, you would do this. If you're a good sister, you would do this. And because you feel compelled, again, that people pleasing as well, but because you feel compelled, that you feel guilty if you're not being what their version of a good mom would be, a good sister, a good cousin, a good auntie, a good daughter, whatever it may be, because you feel guilty that you not showing up is implying that you're not that version of yourself, then what you need to go do is that you need to go overcompensate and overextend yourself, because you can't deal with the guilt that you're feeling from these situations. Again, it's closely tied to people pleasing, but really you're a person that's guilt ridden and you struggle with not wanting to feel that shame or carry that burden of shame when it comes to dealing with people. And the problem with this is, especially with guilt, is that it's going to deny you of any joy or comfort. This is where that survivor's guilt come into place. So now here it is, you have done the work. You've done the thing that you needed to do in order to put yourself on a different level, but the people around you have not done it. So what they're going to do is, number one, they're going to make you feel guilty, and you have that people pleasing in you where you feel a sense of obligation to them, but also you're going to step back and not feel comfortable enjoying your work, enjoying your progress, because you have survivor's guilt. So, oh my gosh, let me not buy too big of a house because I don't want them to feel that way. Let me not buy too nice of a car because I don't want this person to feel this way. You begin to make decisions, right? Operating in that mindset, and you deprive yourself of certain joys and certain comforts, all because of the guilt that you have or the shame that you have connected to the fact that you're doing well. And this can become such a thing that subconsciously you begin to intentionally put yourself in positions that repel people from you because you feel uncomfortable being the best that you can be. This is a big one, guys. Another one is comparison. And this, guys, goes back to, for me, consumerism. Because, we're on social media, and on social media, people like to package self-care, which I don't have a problem with. And this very cute, luxurious way, which is, you're going to go to the spa, and then you're going to get your nails done, and then you get your brows done, then your hair done. Then you go to some expensive, yoga studio, or do some expensive Pilates, and, you go take the trip, and, you go to the Blue Springs in Iceland, and there's all these things. And if you're not doing that, then you are not actually, doing the proper self-care. Comparison truly is the thief of joy. Don't get me wrong. Those things are nice. And let's not get it confused. Michelle enjoys her luxuries. And the more and more and more I continue to elevate, the more I'm going to continue to enjoy more luxuries. I don't have an issue with that at all. The problem is that when you equate self-care to whatever somebody else is doing, self-care has to do with your soul, guys. Self-care has to do with your soul. It has to do with your mind. It has to do with your body. So when you have access to money, money may elevate the treatment that you give yourself. But at the fundamental core, the treatment that you give yourself should be able to exist whether you have access to resources or not. For example, you need to work out. You need to go to the gym. That's a part of your self-care, right? You need to do some exercise. You need to have some activities going. So you can go get that $300 gym membership at Equinox. Yes, you can do that. But you know what you can also do? You can also go to the beach, and they have those free workout gears there. And you could be one of those people that's working out at the beach. You can do that as well. Like, you don't have to go get the expensive gym outfit and get in the expensive gym in order for it to be a quality self-care. It's about you doing the fundamental work that needs to be done, which is, if your physical health is a priority for you, then do the self-care that's going to help you in the season where God currently has you and where your resources make it capable for you to do it. But when you're too busy comparing yourself to other people, the way you take care of yourself isn't going to be enough. Your self-care regimen is never going to be enough, because you're going to be measuring it based off of how it looks versus of how it feels. Does it feel good? Is it fueling you in the areas that you need to be fueled in? Are you being fueled spiritually? Are you being fueled mentally? Are you being fueled emotionally? Are you being fueled financially? Are you being fueled physically? Like, are you being fueled in the ways that you need to be fueled? Because if you are being fueled up, just because you didn't go to this expensive gas station on the other side of town to get your fuel, at the end of the day, gas is in your tank. Enjoy the gas that's in your tank. Bloom where you are planted, ladies. Bloom where you are planted. That's something I will always continue to say because it's a principle that I truly believe in. Bloom where you are planted. And when you are not operating this way, like I said, comparison is the thief of all joy. So when you are struggling with comparison, you're incapable of celebrating your wins or appreciating your wins. So you struggle with gratitude. You're going to constantly struggle with gratitude. And when you do have these breakthroughs, it's going to be very begrudging because you're always going to compare it and say, oh my gosh, this looks this way. It doesn't look like that. And guys, that breeds a lot of envy. It breeds a lot of envy. It breeds a lot of jealousy. People who typically deal with comparison a lot are always very close or already struggling with jealousy and envy. So if comparison is a struggle of yours, understand that jealousy and envy is one as well. So you need to take your eyes off of others. First of all, repent, surrender that to God, surrender it to God, because gratitude is the attitude that you need to have. And you will not operate and walk in gratitude if you're too busy comparing yourself to other people. Okay. So that's that one. The other one, or lastly, is going to be self-hate. This is so big because in my episode that I just released about reparenting yourself, this is one of the ones that a lot of people struggle with, okay, which is self-hate. Self-hate, really what it ends up looking like is a lack of self-love and a lack of self-compassion. And you are simply mean to yourself. You're not kind to yourself. You don't treat yourself like you're deserving, right? You are a drill sergeant when it comes to you personally. And self-care is something that is nourishing. It's something like you don't go out into a garden and you look at a rose and you say, nope, you didn't bloom. Like we're getting into spring. March 20th is the first day of spring. And by the way, guys, the Beauty for Ashes program, March 7th, that promo is going away. So be sure to take advantage so you can release that survival strength and embrace divine empowerment. Because in order for you to get into that realm, into that mindset of operating in that self-care, you are going to have to release that survival strength. Survival strength will never allow you to take care of yourself because these are symptoms. These are symptoms of survival strength. Operating in hyper independence, people pleasing, that shame or that guilt, that comparison, and even that self-hate. These are all symptoms of you operating in that survival strength. So we want to release that so that you can embrace divine empowerment. So the Beauty for Ashes workshop is not only going to include that 3 hours workshop where we really dive in deep into this topic, real deep into this topic, so I can help you break free and break those chains off of your mind. But then you're going to spend 21 days going through that transformation process because it takes 21 days to break a habit. So we're going to spend 21 days helping you break that habit of operating on that survival strength so that you can release that, so that you can embrace divine empowerment. But getting back to that, March 20th is the first day of spring. So obviously I want you to spring forward into that newness of who God called you to be. But if we're in spring right now and the roses are blooming, you're not going to go out to your garden and say to a rose, no, it was the first day of spring and you didn't bloom, so I'm not giving you any water today. How are you going to treat a flower that did not bloom? Are you not going to say, okay, well, let me love on you. Let me care on you. Let me nourish you. Right? Because you know it's eventually going to bloom. It just didn't bloom in the moment that you would like it to, but you're going to continue to nourish it. You're going to continue to feed it in order for it to do it. So many of you guys, the way that you get yourself to do things or the way that you get yourself to bloom is by being mean to yourself. Nope. Oh, you don't deserve this, you idiot, etc. Like some of the things that you guys say to yourself, like it's so mean because you're trying to push yourself to be this version of yourself, push yourself to transform instead of loving yourself into transformation. When you are mean to yourself, when you try to guilt yourself into making changes, when you try to shame yourself into making changes, like people, especially I see people when they want to lose weight, and I know women that do this, they'll look in the mirror and say to themselves like, no, this is horrible. No, I look like a whale. I'm tired of this, you big whale. And they'll say the most disgusting things to themselves because then now that's supposed to trigger them. And then that trigger is going to make them starve themselves. But guess what ends up happening? You end up being on this horrible cycle cycle, of this vicious cycle of mistreating yourself, harming yourself, lashing out at yourself, pushing yourself to make decisions right from that place, and then falling right back after you're done abusing yourself and you've gotten this drive or motivation out of yourself. You're back into the same spot where you need to mistreat yourself. You need to lash at yourself again. No, that's a terrible cycle to be stuck in. It's terrible. Instead of loving yourself and nourishing yourself, so you do things simply out of the fact of the love for it. I love me and I love the way this makes me feel, so I do it. Like, I find myself daily, I go on these walks, and I love these walks that I go on a trail. And because of where I'm at, and some people kind of like know me or my giftings and what I do, sometimes people might just come on the trail and, to run into me there. And that has been something I've really been talking to God about, especially, I've been planning to move here. And I'm like, God, I need to be someplace. And I'm so thankful to God that, boundaries have become even more serious for me, because me being on my trail and having that one-on-one time with God means everything to me. So even though someone runs into me and they might think that that's an opportunity to have some, one-on-one time with Michelle, no, you're actually interrupting my one-on-one time with God, because I need this. So I was on the trail today, matter of fact, and I said, oh my gosh, God, like, I need this so much. Like, I need this one-on-one time with you, what it does to my soul. So I was imagining myself walking on the trail and another person coming up to me and saying, trying to strike conversation. And I told myself, I'm going to be so much more intentional about letting people know, like, hey, listen, I appreciate the fact that you want to have this conversation with me right now, but this is, really a time for myself and the Lord, it's very sacred for me. And, when I'm done, maybe we can catch up or something. But right now, I really need this time to focus and do what I'm doing. I was on a trail today. I was worshiping, like, I'm listening to my music. I'm getting, healing. And even though someone might see me and feel like this is a perfect time to have a conversation with me, because in their mindset, I'm busy all day. So in this, they finally found a moment where they might have access to me. But even though I look like I'm by myself, I'm not. I'm having this one-on-one time with God right now. And it's precious to me. Being outside, being in nature, enjoying the sun, like, this is precious to me. And you don't get to take this moment away from you. Or you don't get to involve yourself in that moment. So I'm doing this out of love. I'm doing this out of the fact that I see the difference it makes in my soul. I feel the difference it makes in my mindset and my mood and all of these different things. And self-neglect, sometimes when I have a lot of things to do, right? Self-neglect will want to creep in and say, okay, well, you know what? Sometimes you spend an hour, 2 hours. Like today I was on that trail for 2 hours. Matter of fact, 2.5 hours. I'm like, and typically I don't go that long, but today was really one of those days where I really need to spend time with God. Sometimes you might feel like you have a lot of things to do. So you try to take that hour and apply it somewhere else. And one of the first things we do is we try to take an hour from ourselves. Okay, I'm going to take an hour away from me. And it was so funny because I had a long list of things I needed to do. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go on this trail. And at first I was like, okay, I'm just not going to go on a trail today. And I said, Michelle, you crazy. You need it. Matter of fact, you have so much stuff going on. You need this in order for your mind to be in the right place. I'm like, duh. So I get up and I go on the trail and I go walking. And as I'm walking, I'm like, God, I needed this so much. Why would I even try? Why would I even try to think that I could talk myself out of this, right? Because listen, Coach is still susceptible of having these conversations with herself, but I have to talk myself out of not taking care of myself, right? No, I'm not doing that. I need to be fueled. So I'm walking on a trail. And as I'm walking, I'm thinking I'm done. About 30 minutes in, I just felt in my spirit that I needed to cry. There was this cry that was in my soul that I needed to release, right? There's a lot that's been going on, right, with my family and things of that nature. And there was just something that I needed to release. And while I was on that trail, I said, God, I feel like I need to cry. And I'm like, I don't know, what it is that I need to do. So I'm walking. And as I'm walking, I get to a certain point, I start playing the song, Spirit Lead Me. At first I played Tasha Cobb's For Your Glory. I started playing Tasha Cobb's For Your Glory, and that I could feel the tears crack there. And I kept saying, Lord, I need to release whatever this is inside of my chest. God, I got to release it. I knew I could not get off that trail and leave with that steel in my spirit and in my heart. And I said, God, whatever this is, I need to release it. So I was trying to go through my playlist and find songs that were going to tap into my spirit so I can release it. And I played Tasha Cobb's For Your Glory. That was the moment of the crack. And after that, I played this song, Spirit Lead Me. And when I started playing that song, man, I tell you, the waters began to flow. I was in the spirit. I'm on that trail. I'm on the bridge. I am in the spirit and I am praying. And then I'm like full blown praying. And while I'm full blown praying and releasing, and I couldn't leave. I just kept going. I just kept going. And before you know, I was playing song after song. I'm in full blown worship. And God is so good because I was like, God, this can look awkward, me in the middle of the day on this trail where people go, they walk their dogs and they do this. And I'm in full blown worship. And God left it. God is so amazing that and that trail's typically busy. He left it so empty where I can have this moment with him, with just me and him and privacy, and me not worrying about, me, really creating a scene out there with people. Cause I'm in the spirit, y'all. I'm talking about full blown tongues and everything. Right. And I'm just out there just praying. I'm on my knees and I'm just worshiping God. And I needed that. My soul I needed to release it. And I said to myself, this is exactly why I can't go on this trail with people, because I need to be able to have this one-on-one time with God and be uninhibited and just me and him. And I'm enjoying this moment, and I'm receiving and I'm releasing. And then whatever it is I was carrying, I was able to release. I was able to let it go there. I was able to get in my car and go on with the rest of my day. So here it is. I thought I was going to cut my time on the trail short, but I end up extending my time. I try to do an hour. Typically, I end up extending that time by an hour and a half. Why? Because my soul needed it. My soul needed it. And there are things that your soul needs. But when you're too busy in hyper independence, when you are too busy in people pleasing, when you are too busy in shame and guilt, when you are too busy in comparison, and when you're too busy in self-hate, you can't see it. And even if you do, you're not going to give yourself the opportunity to do it, because hyper independence is going to tell you that you're too busy, right? People pleasing is going to tell you that somebody else is more important. Guilt and shame is going to tell you that you're wrong for giving yourself that time and that energy. Comparison is going to tell you, well, that little thing that you're going to do is not even that serious, not enough, because you really need to be in Paris somewhere. And self-hate is going to have you feeling like you don't deserve it, or you're not important, or you need to go do something else before you get it. That's the reality of it, guys. This is what you need to be broken free from, because your soul needs to be replenished. This goes back to Matthew 11, verse 28. Truly casting your cares upon him, because he cares for you, and he is gentle and he is humble in heart. And when I was there, I said, Jesus, take it. I'm casting all my cares on you. I'm casting all my cares on you. Jesus, take it all. Take it all. Take it all. Because what does he say? His burden is easy, his yoke is light. We need the lightness and the easiness that come from God, but you have to release these survival strengths in order to do that. And now I've been divinely empowered to walk in life from a different state of mind, a different energy, because all that stuff that was plaguing me, I was able to get that off of me and bring it. And guys, this is a lifestyle. So you don't just do it one time and you're done. No. Every time I have a situation or a moment where I need God, I bring it to him, because I have made it my principle now to not carry these things and try to hold on to it. Now I've gotten so used to not carrying stuff that if I try to carry something too heavy, like before I could carry so much, now I just simply can't. I need to get off of me quick, because I'm too used to now carrying a light load. And that's how I want you to be. I want you to get used to carrying a light load, but we have to first get started with taking that heavy load off of you. And that heavy load is what that Beauty for Ashes program is about. It's about taking those burdens of survival strength off of you so that you can now release it, surrender it, so you can learn how to truly walk in divine empowerment and get the victory that you deserve. Like I say all the time, when you walk into your promise, whatever that is, you cannot walk as the same person. You cannot put new wine in old wineskin. You have to walk in as a new version of yourself. So the same way that's in those movies, when you have to, if you watch those spy movies and you have to do like an identity check with your eyes and it scans your eyes to make sure that you're the right person before it opens up the vault, that's your promised land. And right now your identity doesn't match the person that deserves the promise. And what I mean by that is because you're too busy operating that survival strength, and that survival strength has another version of you manifesting and appearing. So you need to strip yourself of that, so that now when you allow your identity to be seen, that door opens to you in life, because it's a new version of you. So then now that new version of you has a different inheritance, has a different life, a different community, a different everything. And it's good. It is good. So I love you guys. Can't wait to talk to you again. Go ahead, get in the comments, right? Really, let's talk about this. And be sure, guys, to tap into the Beauty for Ashes program in this month of March. Okay. Do not go into the month of April being the same person. Take this opportunity to really release that survival strength so you can step into the newness that God is calling into your life. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great one.